Good.
Almost a year later, right? Isn't
Still
that crazy?
at it. Yeah, it's too bad. It's sad.
It's enraging, and actually things have gotten a lot worse.
Oh.
A lot worse. I mean, not only is she still in prison, even though the federal government dropped the charges, the state government refuses to release her. So there's that. But in addition, there is a number of other organizers for self-defense who are also imprisoned. And this whole sort of state harassment, police force harassment of the indigenous, whether they are organizing for self-defense or they're organizing to protect natural resources, it's really escalating there. So today's protest is actually sort of bigger. I mean, it envelops more issues because not only is it Nestora, which is still very important because she hasn't done anything illegal and is still in prison, but there's a number of other political prisoners as well as political prisoners who are trying to defend natural resources. So
in the same area?
No, well, it's just
spread around a little bit?
throughout Mexico, yeah. So we have, so today we've got a message from Nestora that we're going to read to people.
Okay.
We're part of an international organization that has come out with a statement. We have Chance. So we're going to read their statement from the CRIR.
The CIRR?
CRIR.
CRIR.
Which,
okay.
Oh, and then we also have a statement from Partido Obrero Socialista, which is a Socialist Party of Mexico,
Okay.
which is part of CRIR, which the Freedom Socialist Party is also a member of. Then we have our letter number 2 to the President Enrique Peña Nieto, demanding Nestora's release, as well as the release of Dr. Jose Luis Mireles, who is also a self-defense organizer who's been in prison. So,
are these packets here of
yeah,
different types
this is
of
like
information?
Yeah, so here's a news release.
Okay.
And this is, I probably got more paper than I know what to do with.
That's okay.
This is a statement from POS. And this is the statement from Nestora.
Okay, this is all good stuff to have.
And this is the letter that we plan to submit to the President.
Okay, good. Oops, oops,
Let's see, so that I actually don't. And then this is handy because this is a fact sheet about Nestora's case.
I will get all this put into the video.
Great.
Yeah, I'm glad you have this.
I don't think I make it very easy for you.
No, this is actually is easy for me.
Okay, good.
It's good to share this info with everybody.
So CRIR is the Committee for Revolutionary International Recruitment. Freedom Socialist Party is a member of this group. There's the members are listed here. Nupori, which is a socialist party in the Dominican Republic. These are all Trotskyist parties as well. So that's part of the glue that brings these groups together in solidarity. But also the PRT in Costa Rica. So you're welcome. They did a statement in support of Nestora as well. So we're mostly here just to educate people about her case and her campaign, and that this is still going on even a year later, and try to turn up the heat to get pressure on the Mexican government, but also the U.S. government. She's a naturalized U.S. citizen, and the U.S. is doing nothing. The U.S. government is doing nothing. So it's really an outrage, and this ties in obviously with the whole crackdown on any kind of self-defense organizing that people of color are doing, but particularly the organizing that women are doing as well, which is really crucial. So, hi.
Can you tell? Oh, go ahead. Just one more thing. Can you tell what would somebody, a citizen, do to try to help further this? One recommendation or two.
Okay. Well, one recommendation is if you're in the Portland area, please contact me. My name is Jordana. You can
is your info
me.
on here?
Yeah, the info is on there. They can contact me they're interested in helping to form a committee, a Portland committee. There's lots of committees across the U.S. for Nestora.
Okay.
But if they want to form a committee so we can do some joint work and figure out what can we do to add to the pressure that's happening internationally.
Build it up a little more. So
exactly.
get a hold of you, you help
get a hold
guide
of
a little
me.
more to...
We will get together, brainstorm, do some stuff to whether there's like contacting legislators or, you know, coming back here. I'm sure there's lots of ideas on how we can add to the international pressure to win her release.
Okay, and then also probably contact our president and let him know that this is a...
Absolutely.
We're trying to put pressure on
Well,
him.
particularly email the president of Mexico.
And
I mean, he's
okay.
got the power to demand the state follow the rules that the federal government, which dropped the charges against her. I mean, how come he's not doing anything about that?
That's what we want to ask him.
That's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. What's going on out here? We're in front of the consulate in Portland.
Well, this is the second time we've been out here because Nestora has been in federal prison in Mexico for a year now. This is the anniversary of her incarceration, which was basically false. One of the contradictions, trumped up. One of the contradictions is that she's in federal prison, but kidnapping, as I understand it, is not a federal law. It's not against federal law. So there's a contradiction between putting her in federal prison and arresting her for a law that's not a federal law.
So in the kidnapping reference, that's in reference to charges they're putting on her?
Yes, yes.
And that was because she made an arrest, a citizen's arrest, so to speak, right?
Yeah, the militia, as in representing the citizens of Orono, they arrested a very corrupt authority person. We would probably call him a sheriff. And it was shortly after that that they arrested her on trumped-up charges. But it's important because as a political prisoner, a resident of the U.S., Renton, Washington, and she's a grandmother, and she's not been mistreated in prison. She hasn't gotten her meds, she's been mistreated, and she only got to see her lawyer 2 weeks ago after being in there a year, and her family hasn't been able to see her at all. So, and we have put pressure on Kerry and Obama. Of course, nothing has happened from that angle, which should, because she's a U.S. citizen. Why they're sitting on it, I don't know. That's not a...
Good questions to be asking out loud and to our representatives.
Right, definitely. Why? Why aren't we doing something? Why aren't they doing something about it? And the way I look at it, this connects with many other things going on. You know, Ferguson not the least, but this is police state action against an indigenous person, which gives you a real clue that there's racism involved. And you know, so we feel it's important to connect this to a lot of other things that are happening, not the least Iraq and Gaza and so forth.
And her agenda down there was sticking up for her community where she had family and was born at.
Right.
And sticking up for the injustices and the brutalities and
the poverty. The poverty.
That's what her agenda was.
She was going down there taking supplies to the people. And then she formed a militia, which is legal under Guerrero law, the state, and the city also. So there was a legal action that they did, but as you know, the authorities are not going to
disregard for the law, and they're doing their own thing.
That's right.
In defiance.
That's right. And so this gives us a real issue which we can relate here, because the racism involved with our police it's universal apparently. So anyway, that's why we're here.
Okay. Well, thanks for being here.
Okay.
All right. Well, our forces are a little bit small, but it's hard to compete sometimes on a beautiful, beautiful day. I want to just thank everybody for showing up today. And you all know, because we've had conversations, that this demonstration, this picket, is part of an international action to protest the illegal imprisonment of Nestora Salgado, who is a naturalized U.S. citizen and a leader of indigenous community defense force, which is authorized, completely legal, under both the Mexican and Guerrero state constitutions. You should know that there are protests that are happening throughout the U.S. in Los Angeles, New York, San Francisco, Seattle, and Chicago, and in Mexico, also in Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, Argentina, Brazil, and Australia. So, we are not alone. Our numbers may be small here in Portland, but they are very large internationally. So you know that we're here to defend Nestora and demand her release, but we are also here to demand the freedom of other political prisoners, such as Dr. Jose Luis Mireles, who's a leader of a civilian autodefensas force in Michoacan, along with over 80 of his folks, Marco Antonio Suastigue, who is a leader of the Council of Ejidos and communities opposed to the La Parora Dam, and 3 other indigenous anti-dam activists, plus 10 members of the Olinalá community police force, which includes Gonzalo Molina and Arturo Campos. And there are other social activists from Colima and other communities who have also been imprisoned for exercising their constitutional right to defend themselves. Both themselves against the violence and drug trafficking, but also to defend their natural resources from the pillage of corporate interests. So today we are educating people about this campaign, and with a number of different pieces of information. One is a statement from the Committee for Revolutionary International Recruitment about Nestora's campaign. And one of the things that we also received for today is a message from Nestora, which I wanted to read because it's hot off the press. It's not on the website yet, and I thought it would be important to share with you. She writes this message to her sister. Dear Cleotilde, I am told that those who have organized a committee for my freedom asked for a few words on this, the first anniversary of my imprisonment. I have been thinking about what kind of message to send. However, I am afraid that what I have to say won't be what the good people that are supporting me will want to hear. Perhaps they think I am a heroine and that strong and poignant words will come out of my mouth. This is not going to happen. You know, politics never interested me. I took on the job of becoming a member of the community police as a form of community service for my community and town, and I make no apologies for doing this. Prison is painful and weighs very heavy on me. The conditions of my imprisonment are not like what you see in the movies where inmates have contact with each other. As you know, I live in isolation, similar to those of a rabid dog. I cannot speak or communicate with anyone. This is very painful. It was especially painful on my 43rd birthday, which I had to spend without the company of my grandchildren, my daughters, Jose Luis, and all the members of my family. I really suffered in the absence of music, food, dancing, and especially without the company of all of you. I must confess that I do feel depressed and dejected for several days in any given week. How is it possible that so many people who support me think that I am an example of strength for women? I think that my supporters need to focus less on me and more on the other community police prisoners and those of Michoacan. These men, Michoacan, thank you. These men have been unjustly imprisoned. They have wives, daughters, and sons who are suffering and need help and comfort more than I. As far as I know, the radio, TV, and printed media do not say much about them. Journalists ought to pay more attention to them and less to me. I hope that the wives of Gonzalo Molina, Arturo Campos, and Marco Suastegui, is that right? Suastegui will be interviewed soon. I live with the fact that I am often depressed and wish I could wake up from this nightmare in my house in Renton, Washington, or on my small farm in Olinalá. I don't have the fortitude to be a political prisoner. I admit that I am in a fragile state, but this does not mean I am weak or broken. I am not today, and I never will be. I am very encouraged that people in other countries take an interest in injustice in Mexico. I am told that there are supporters as far away as Australia. What keeps me alive is that I know that my imprisonment is unjust. What keeps me strong is the knowledge that the government holding me hostage is the same government that makes deals with organized crime, and that I am imprisoned by unscrupulous government officials who don't want the Mexican people to freely organize to defend their rights. I am not broken. I will hold on as long as necessary. I am thankful to all the women and men who support me in Mexico and in other countries. I want to salute all those women and men who fight every day in their towns or wherever they may be for a democratic, just, and free Mexico, purged of organized crime and corrupt officials.
Hear, hear.
Woo! Well, for a woman who thinks that she doesn't deserve all this attention, she certainly is a fiery fighter who I think deserves every moment of our attention. So, adelante, see? Yes. Yes, yes. So today we're almost a year ago in December, we delivered a letter to the President of Mexico and delivered it here. We never got a reply. How strange.
Wow.
How strange. I know, I'm baffled. So we have another letter for the President. And Chaz, I'm wondering if you would read it.
Sure.
Because you ought to know what it is that we plan to tell the President.
Dear President Enrique Peña Nieto, August 21st marks the one-year anniversary of the illegal incarceration of Nestora Salgado, Comandante of the Olinalá, Guerrero Community Police Force, in a high-security federal prison. She and 10 of her comrades, including leaders Gonzalo Molina and Arturo Campos, have been stripped of their constitutional rights, denied due process, locked up far from their families in order to break their spirits, and subjected to miserable and life-threatening treatment for a non-existent crime, protecting the people of Olinalá. As guaranteed under the Mexican Constitution, protecting these people from criminals and unscrupulous local political figures. We are present today at Mexican consulates in Chicago, New York City, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, and Portland, Oregon on this one-year anniversary to demand that Nestora Salgado, her compatriots, and the ever-growing number of other political prisoners in Mexico be freed immediately. In the case of the Olinalá Community Defense Force, there was no basis for their arrest in the first place, and is no basis now for their continued detention. A federal court agrees with us. It dismissed the charges that were used as a pretense to jail Nestora and ordered that she be released. However, the Guerrero state prosecutor is refusing to do so. In the meantime, she has only been permitted to see her lawyers for 45 minutes in an entire year. This is a complete mockery of the rule of law and casts the entire Mexican political and judicial system into question. Instead of resolving this blatant miscarriage of justice over the last year, the federal and state governments have employed the Mexican military and state police to expand the bloody assault on civilian defense forces and indigenous communities. On May 2nd, paramilitary forces, in which PRI is implicated, attacked a Zapatista elementary school, killing Jose Luis Solis Lopez, a teacher, and wounding 15 others. On June 17th, Marco Antonio, if I'm saying this right, Suastegui, respected leader of the Council of Ejidos and communities opposed to La Parota Dam, was arrested by police from the Guerrero Attorney General's office on completely fabricated charges of robbery and attempted murder, severely beaten and sent to the same prison as Nestora. 10 days later, Dr. Jose Manuel Moriles, leader of Autodefensas forces in Michoacan, was tricked into meeting with an army officer who arrested him after planting drugs in his vehicle. Federal and state police and the Mexican Army, Sedena, and Navy, SEMAR, were all involved in this action, which included arresting 82 other autodefensas. All were charged with arms violations for carrying weapons that supposedly were for the exclusive use of the armed forces. And on July 9th, federal district state police shot and killed a 13-year-old boy and injured 40 other Nahua citizens of Puebla who were blocking a highway to protest new laws that deprive them of their traditional rights. It seems that the federal government does not care about poor and working people, their rights or ability to make a living. We know that the U.S. government is complicit in this attitude toward the people of Mexico, funding as it does the Mexican military and counterinsurgency programs to the to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. This is in sharp contrast to the community police forces and self-defense groups who risk their lives to maintain order and security in their hometowns. Clearly, there is deep-seated racism in the treatment of indigenous fighters like Nestora Salgado and Marco Antonio Suastegue. I hope I'm saying that. But we know that beyond that, there is a hunger in high places to privatize and exploit communal land in Mexico for international corporate profit. To do this, the federal government must first rid itself of the indigenous leaders who defend the inheritance of their people. Among these leaders are many women who stood on the front lines, like Nestora Salgado, to save their way of life, refusing to be intimidated by criminals or corrupt politicians, the military, and their arsenals. They will not surrender, and neither will we, the movement to free Nestora and all political prisoners in Mexico. To deny the citizens of your country the right to fight back against extortion, mass murder, intimidation, rape, exploitation, and the theft of communal lands is a form of genocide. To allow the U.S. government to continue arming and training the Mexican military to oppress its own people is an abomination. We join with the working and poor people of Mexico in demanding an end to the corruption, impunity, and endless drive for super profits. We wrote you almost a year ago regarding the unjust incarceration of Nestora Salgado. In the months that have passed since then, military and state police repression has widened, and the bodies of the victims have continued to pile up. The responsibility for these deaths rests at your door. You alone can call off the Mexican military and open the prison doors. This reign of terror must end. U.S. counterinsurgency forces and their corporate and criminal partners have no place on Mexican soil, the birthplace of the proud 1910 revolution. We call on you to act now and look forward to a prompt response to this letter. Rest assured, we will not be silent. We demand freedom for Nestora Salgado and all political prisoners now.
Thank you. It's being delivered, but there's a number of different signatures. So if you are willing to do so, and I hope you also have had a chance to sign the petition, but first sign the letter because I need to deliver it to the consulate. And I have pens if you need a pen. And also, the last time we were here in December, the consul that I spoke with said that he was relocating. So I have included for the consul who is here the letter that we actually sent also in December, so that he'll have both, and hopefully just sign your name is fine. You can pass it on to